In the name of Allah, the most compassionate and most merciful, benevolent. Dear student, Assalamu alaikum. I'm glad to be here once again presenting the lecture number 23 about the subject of psychology. So, hope that everyone is fine and healthy. I am conveying my good wishes and greeting to every one of you. Hope that everyone is doing well along with your daily lives activities and your office works and academic activities. So let us talk about the standard response of the stress, as well as to talk about some of the effects of the stress on human body. Beside all this, what are the signs and symptoms of the stress? So in the previous lecture we talked about the causes of stress and some of the leading causes, some of the leading triggers that cause the stress. As well, beside that, we discuss about the causes and we discuss about the major categories, like we talked about the daily life hassles, or we can say background stress we talked about. Beside that, we talked about internal external stressors. So today we're talking about the standard response to the stress. Beside that, we will be talking about some effects of the stress on human body. So our topic is today the effects of stress on human body. امروز ما میخوانیم در موردی که تشویش چی تاثیراتی را دارد بالای بدن انسان، کدام نوع تاثیرات ایجاد میکند یا باعث کدام نوع تاثیرات میشود و بالاخره انسان امروز یک مشکل زیاد مواجه میشود که از حالت نرمال به غیر نرمال میرود یا از حالت نرمال روانی به حالت غیر نرمال روانی ساق می شود، رهنمایی می شود و به او طرف می رود. بالاخره انسان از یک دیساردر کلان روبرو می شود، امروز یک دیساردر کلان روبرو می شود. خب به این خاطر ما امروز در موردش گپ میزنیم که چی تاثیرات بدی را دارد برای بدن ما شما. پیش از او ما گپ میزنیم در موردی که کدام عکس العمل های معیاری هستند در مورد استرس. اگر ما بگیم استاندارد استرس ریسپانس چی هستند، در حالی که ما ببینیم یک انسان در حالت تشویش باشد چی تغییرات داخلی در بدن انسان میآید از لحاظ سیستم هایی که ما شما سیستم عصبی ما شما هستند. وقتی که ما ببینیم که یک انسان در حالت تشویش هستند یا زیرش استرس آماده، فشار بالایش آماده، چی تغییرات در داخل بدن احساس کرده میتواند و چیزی ما میبینیم در اوجا. Standard stress response is the person who is under the stressful situations. So gradually as well as continuously the blood pressure will increase. If you see the blood pressure of the person, so during the stressful times it increased. So most of the time there is palpitations and the blood pressure has become higher and more visible. So that is one of the response of a person's to the stress. Beside that, the pulse rate of person also increase. Individual pulse rate, if you check, it will be increased. You can feel it very easily because of the beating of the pulse rate too much. As well as beside this, heart pounding feeling in your chest. You can feel yourself that the heart is pounding inside the body. It's like, for example, the heart is jumping. Sort of feelings you can feel individual as well. Beside that, you can see that what changes even in the other people. You can hear the sound while the person is under the stressful situations. So beside all these things, there is the dilatation of pupils. So if you see to the eyes of the persons, the pupils become dilated, it become widespread, it will become enlarged. So definitely you can say that person is in a stressful conditions. Beside this, the mouth become very much dry, and the weakness of mouth and the watery mouth becomes dry, and that could be also a sign of the stress. Beside all of this, we can say there is increased perspiration, especially in the palms. If you see the palms of a person, there will be a perspiration. So it shows what? It shows that the person is under the stressful situations. And muscle tensions as there. So if you see the muscles are very strict and tensions are there, it is almost ready for fighting, is almost ready for escaping to somewhere. And if you see there is a fast shallow breathing, the person breathes very shallow, and with the fast breathing you can hear. So it is almost a standard stress response into external environment. Beside all these things, there is a fatigue, generalized body weakness, as well as tiredness of persons. You might see the person feel very lazy and is not capable to do everything properly. So there is a fatigue. It means the person is not too much energetics, and that because that become the cause and becomes a reason for the stress. And beside all this, a person always more feel boredoms and become tired, is not much energetics and cannot do anything well enough that could lead the normal life. So these are the standard stress response into external environment, and so such changes might occur due to stressful situations. So beside all these things, if you talked about, there are some symptoms of the stress. بعض علائم فشار ذهنی یا میتونیم که ما بگیم تشویش بعض علائم را دارد، میتونیم امو علائم را ببینیم در یک شخص که چی علائم دارد. یعنی خود اعراض و علائم نشان میده که این علائم به شکل physical symptoms هستند. از لحاظ فیزیکی اگر ما ببینیم, we can see it is almost visible to us. So that becomes a symptoms of a stress, and you can see the person that becomes under the stressful situations, like for example fatigues, خستگی می باشد, back aches, کمر دردی می باشد, insomnia بیخوابی می باشد, heart palpitations, ضربان قلبشان almost زیاد می شود, chest pain, دردهای سینه پیدا می شود, sweatings, عرق پیدا می کند, cold extremities. اگر شما اطراف فرد را ببینین, چی نهایت پایهایشان یا دستایشان ببینین, بسیار یخ سرد معلوم می شود. poor performance, کارکردگی مثبت یا خوبتری را ندارد. ببینین شما به شکل درست کارهای خود را روزمره انجام دادن نمیتونید. The performance become poor because of almost the stressful situation, that the minds become under the stressful situation. And there is increased sicknesses. It's quite visible, as well as headaches. Physically, if you see the persons most of the time complain about the headaches and heartburns, it because also there is a mechanism that during a stressful situation some of the chemicals release and it goes to the stomachs and the environment of the stomach, which is already alkali, that changes to acidics and becomes acidics and cause stomach ulcer. So that's why there has become also sometimes heartburn, as well in diarrhea. Could also be the leading cause of this stress, and that is the physical symptoms which comes in human body as well as individual in groups. And loss of sexual drive in person, it doesn't have any motivations for doing sex, and is not energetic enough, and is not having too much interest in the sex. So fainting, if you see the person feels almost passive, is not very active persons, and beside that indigestion take place. So whatever it takes, all these signs and symptoms, indigestion mean بدهضمی, بیهوشی, fainting, بیهوشی پیدا می شود برشان, انسان کسالت بیهوش می باشد. خب اینمی همه علائم استرس هستند که یک انسان داشته می باشد, و از این چیزا از لحاظ فیزیکی اگر ما ببینیم میتونیم بدونیم اینا که there is all, it comes because of the stress. As we see that stress is one of the major human problems in the world, in the globes, that nobody has successfully been successful just for eradication of this problem, because almost the suggestions and advice of the psychologists are that you should have to express stress as a part of your life, then almost you can have a very peaceful and a good life. If you're not accepting stress as a part of your life, so then you are making and increasing more and more problem for yourselves. So this is almost the physical symptoms of the human body, while beside this there is some mental symptoms as well. بعضی علائم ذهنی هم هستند که میتونیم بگیم از او یادآور شویم که چی تاثیراتی را یا چی علائمی که کسی که استرس داشته باشد بالای حالت روانی, از لحاظ روانی اگر ما ببینیم چی علائم و اعراض میده. decrease in concentrations توجهشون کم می شود. loss of sense of humors از لذت زندگی، دنیا و خوشی، تفریح از این چیزا لذت بردن نمیتواند این حس را از دست میده. So it's almost because of the stress and confusions are there and forgetfulness is there. بسیار انسان یک چیز خود از حافظه خود از دست میده، بسیار چیزایی که میآموزه یا چیزایی که در ذهن خود میاره بسیار زود فراموش میکنه، دی فراموشی برش پیدا میشد. mental symptoms در حالی که difficult in making decisions در تصامیم گرفتن بسیار مشکل داشته می باشد. Following disorientations and panic attacks are there. So this is almost the mental symptoms of a stress. If a person has got all these sort of problems, so then we can say the person is under the stressful situation zone. And emotional symptoms are also there. You can see there are some emotional symptoms as well. Anxiety, anger, قهر, fear, thirst, nervousness, عصبانیت, depressions, خفگانی بسیار عمیق, mood swings, مزاجش بسیار تغییر میخورد زود، گاهی خوش میباشد گاهی خفه میباشد, short temper, حوصله هم از دست میده, overreactings and deterioration of personal hygiene and appearance, حفظ خودیش خراب میشود و ظاهری شکلش هم خراب میشود، نظافت را مراعات کردن نمیتواند، and impatience و کم حوصلگی پیدا می شود. So this is all almost the symptoms of the emotional symptom that is the main cause of which is stress. And emotionally the person is not feeling well, mentally not well, and physically as well not well. Well, there are almost some behavioral changes are also there. از لحاظ رفتار و سلوک بعضی هم تغییرات زیادی در انسان پیدا می شود کسایی که استرس داشته می شود. یعنی در برخورد فیزیکی، در برخورد تعاملات فیزیکی چی تغییراتی را میاد. مثلا always smoking, want to keep himself I mean that happy, that's why he is smoking, just to relieve for the purpose of relieve his smoking, and crying without reasoning, and blaming, forgetting, drinking, increase or decrease eating, poor judgment, قضاوت درست کردن نمیتونه, reduce social contract, تعاملات اجتماعیش کم میشود, loss of appetite, اشتهایش از بین میرود, increase use alcohol and drugs, از مواد مخدر و الکل زیاد استفاده میکند, eating disorder, بینظمی یا disorder non برش پیدا میشه, eating disorders, anorexia, bulimia, and nail beatings. So these are all most some of the behavioral symptoms that may comes after once the person become affected by the stressor. همین تغییرات سلوکیشان هستند، در رفتارش این تغییرات میآید. چیزی اعراض هم هستند، علائم هم هستند. signs که بهش میگیم اعراض علائم. signs of stress: nightmares, it means loss of appetite or overacting, sweating, missed menstrual cycles, کسایی که در تشویش باشد مرض ماهوارش مس می شود، با وقت خودش نمیآید، مشکلات زیاد در مرض ماهواره خانم ها پیدا می شود. premenstrual tensions، پیش از اینکه یک نوع تشویش بیاید که مرض ماهوارش پیدا می شود، یک نوع تشویش برش پیدا می شود. inability to concentrate، در ضمن نتوانی توجه کردن به یک چیز به شکل درست توجه کردن نمیتونه، این هم یک ناتوانی هستند که بر انسان پیدا می شود. This is a sign of stress. and nervous laughter, dryness of mouth, and general irritabilities, indigestions, frequent urinations, neck and lower back pains، دردهای گردن و کمر پیدا می شود، تشناب زود می رود، بدهضمی برش پیدا می شود، حساسیت عمومی برش پیدا می شود. این همه اعراضی هستند که ما باز می بینیم در مریض که یا در کسی که مصاب این تکلیف شده باشد یا دارای استرس باشد. increased smoking, accident prone, feeling tired and trembling and pounding hearts are all these are the sign of a stress. If you see some people having these criteria, standard criteria, so then we put that person is specifically under the stressful situations. Then we do make a management plan that how to resolve this issue. So these are the signs of stress. Now there are some effects of stress on the bodies. بعضی تاثیرات بدی هم بالای بدن ما شما هستند. Stress is affecting the human body in 3 dimensions. The 3 ابعاد بدن انسان را متاثر می سازد که تاثیرات فیزیکیش است، تاثیرات روانیش است و تاثیرات اجتماعی. یعنی در هر 3 بخش تاثیرات خود را دارد بالای بدن انسان که فعالیت‌های انسانی را محدود می سازد و بالاخره مشکلات زیاد برایشان ایجاد می کند. یک انسان تاثیرات فیزیکی داشته باشد، affects the psychological homeostasis. Psychological effects are their social effects can alter relationship with other. Spiritual effects one's belief and values. Emotional effects affect the feelings towards self. Intellectual effects influence perceptions and problem solving abilities. So these are in general some other types of the effects. So امو تاثیرات دیگری هستند بالای ذهنیت انسان، بالای احساسات انسان، بالای تعاملات اجتماعی انسان، بالای تعاملات روانی، حالت روانی انسان و فیزیکی که اینمی همه تاثیرات بدی هستند که استرس بالای بدن انسان دارد. بالاخره امو زندگی نرمال انسان امرای جنجال و مشکلات دوچار می سازد. بهم که چی تاثیرات فیزیکی را دارد. تاثیرات فیزیکیش گفته می دانیم که stress is affecting the human body and health in the following shapes: ulcer, stomach disorder, blood pressure. اگر ما بگیم تاثیرات فیزیکی بالای بدن چی هستند وقتی که یک انسان تشویش داشته باشد یا فشار ذهنی داشته باشد، ببینین مشکل فشار برش پیدا میشه، مشکلات هضمی سیستم برش پیدا میشه، امراض قلب هارت دیزیز پیدا میشه، حساسیت الرژی پیدا میشه، هیدک سردردی and paralysis حتی باعث فلج میشود. metabolic disorders, diabetes for example باعث شکر میشود. GIT disorder مشکلات سیستم هضمی برشان پیدا میشود. constipations قبضیت پیدا میشود. diarrhea اسهالات پیدا میشود. obesity انسان چاق میشود. یعنی چاقی بعضی اوقات از یک علتشان خودی تشویش بدن هم هستند. انورکسیا نوروز هستند. menstrual irregularities menstrual irregularity مانا اما ماهواری مدت ماهواری خانم ها که هستند او به قاعده می شود، غیر منظم می شود. skin disorder مشکلات جلد هم پیدا می شود، مثلا امراض اگزیماس، urticarials در سوریاسیس. همین قسم hypertension فشار برش انسان پیدا می شود، فشار ذهنی، فشار خون، cardiovascular disorders مشکلات قلبی به انسان پیدا می شود. انمو تاثیرات فیزیکی بالای بدن انسان است که او میتونیم از لحاظ ظاهری ما او را ببینیم. Beside this we can say psychological effects. تاثیرات خود روانی هم را دارد بالای بدن انسان. The psychological effects of stress on human body are stated as follow: irritability, depressions, emotional instabilities. یعنی یک حساسیت پیدا میکند، یک عدم ثابت بدن احساسات، یعنی احساسات خود را کنترل کردن نمیتواند. یک خفگان عمیق برش پیدا میشد. fear without knowing, tensions, fatigues and loss of joy of life, pounding hearts, dryness of mouth and throat and loss of excessive appetite and increased smoking is almost the psychological effects of a stress. Diarrhea, indigestion, vomiting, sleeplessness, بیخوابی, insomnia which is called grinding teeth, دندانهای خود را همیشه مثل ساجق میجا, inability to concentrate, high pitched sound, helplessness, inability to complete with a task assigned, fear and dream, laughing and weeping. It is almost all the types of the effects of a stress that is called as psychological effects on human body. So we are having also some social effects of a stress as well. تاثیرات اجتماعی هم را دارد. در اجتماع چی تغییرات کسایی که زیر فشار باشد، استرس داشته باشد، در تاثیرات تعاملات اجتماعی چی تغییراتی به میان میآید. Stresses undesirable situation will lead to distribute the behavior of the individual. These effects are less association and companionships, criticizing everybody, less trust on other, unparliamentary language being used by the person, حیرت to human being, fear of friendships, از دوستی ترس دارد، از انسانات نفرت میکند، lesser social contract، تعاملات اجتماعیش بسیار کم میشود، deprivations from social organisms and no love, affection and respects but deviation is also there. It's all about the social effects of the stress, and loss of self-confidence, loss of expression, loss of good impressions, loss of cooperation, non-adjustment, search of satisfaction, attitudinal change, search of new friends, change in self-imaginations, new expectation, creation of social problems of self in others. It is almost all the social effects of a person on the human body. It's because of the stress that is having on individual and groups. While we can categorize and very simply in a general, there is two types of effects of a stress. One is called negative effects, another is called positive effects. From the name, which is very well known to us, that what is negative effects and what does positive effects means. So this is another classification of a stress. Negative effects on physicals, effect on physical and psychological well-beings. خودی تاثیرات منفی استرس یا تشویش که هستن بالای بدن انسان، اما تاثیرات فیزیکی و روانی، سالم بودن روانی انسان را زیر تحت سوال قرار میدهد و خراب میکند. Positive effects تاثیرات مثبت هم را دارد. Effect on personality includes motivation and ability to deal with stressful situations. It provides the stimulation to cope with challenging situation, also provide the sense of urgency and alertness needed for survival when confronting the threatening situation. So almost these are the major sort of a stress effects that is having on human body. یکی این قدر تاثیرات بد بالای بدن انسان دارد، چیزی روانی هستند، چیزی فیزیکی است، چیزی اجتماعی تاثیرات دارد. خود طبعا یک مشکل است، ما باید از این مشکل خدا بیرون بکشیم. اگر نتانیم حتی باید ما بتانیم مدیریت درست بکنیم تا که این مشکل کم شود. So this was all about because of the effects of a stress on human body. Till then, wish you all the best. Allah Hafiz. Have a great time.